Hey guys, welcome to Bastion Time. I'm your host Bastion. This is Nintendo News. Let's get to that news. We learned all kinds of interesting things about Breath of the Wild recently. A lot of them mind-blowing, so let's just get straight to it. First of all, we learned that Breath of the Wild will contain an alternate ending. Now, this is not the first time that a Zelda game has had an alternate ending. There have been alternate endings in... Geez, I don't even think I can remember all of them off the top of my head. I know that the Oracle games had an alternate ending. If you linked them up together, then you got to defeat Ganon, and then that had a different ending. And if I remember right, Link's Awakening had an alternate ending. And anyways, basically none of the main games, though, have had alternate endings. Twilight Princess didn't. I don't believe Wind Waker did, Ocarina of Time didn't, neither did Skyward Sword for that matter. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly this alternate ending consists of. If it's just something goofy, like, oh, you collected all of the heart pieces, well, here's a whole bunch of heart pieces streaming across the screen or whatever. Or if it's something actually significant, like, oh, you managed to unravel this extra mystery, here's a conclusion to that or something. Who knows? We will have to wait until we are actually playing the game and then have somebody discover it and tell us all about it, I'm sure. Our next story is about the fact that Breath of the Wild, contrary to so many rumors, and this is why, guys, we should not trust rumors, but in any case, it does not have dual audio. So many people were saying, oh yeah, you'll be able to hear the Japanese audio, the voice acting, the Japanese voice acting, and have English subtitles in your English version of the game. No, that's not the case at all. Mr. EG AONUMA confirmed this, saying, no, you can of course import the Japanese version, but then everything would be in Japanese text, Japanese voice stuff, so no, that's not the case. And then we learned another interesting bit from Mr. EG AONUMA, saying that this is going to be the first time in the entire history of the main Legend of Zelda games where the main character is Link. I know a lot of you are like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean? He's always Link. Well, no, he's always whatever you name him as, because the whole idea is he's you. He's not his own separate character, he's just meant to be your digital avatar in the game, so you're meant to name him your own name so that you're there in the game. This time, no. He's definitely 100% Link, and you have no ability to change his name whatsoever. The characters will directly refer to him as Link, so that's very interesting. It's a new direction, and probably the right direction, because let's face it, that old concept of he's not a character, he's just your digital avatar in the game, they kind of ruined that idea a long time ago. He's definitely, ever since I would say about Wind Waker, he's definitely his own character. So, yeah, that whole thing doesn't really stand true anymore. Link is definitely a character independent of us, the player. So they're finally making that into a thing, and he's definitely 100% just Link. So no more naming him funny names. A juvenile joke that I thought I was so clever coming up with was a particular name for him in Skyward Sword, because Fi would always refer to you as Master and then say your name, and I thought I was so clever with a particular name that I gave him, but anyway. Another interesting tidbit about Breath of the Wild is Breath of the Wild is Nintendo's last first-party game for the Wii U. They are done. They're ready to pretend like the Wii U never happened, because let's face it, it was an abysmal failure, and so they're ready to just charge ahead with the Switch, so no more first-party games coming out for Wii U. Of course, there will likely be some third-party developers that put out additional third-party games for Wii U, but it's not so likely. I'm pretty sure all of them are super excited for Switch, and if Nintendo's not going to put out any first-party games on the Wii U anymore, neither are third parties probably. We'll have to wait and see. Our next story is another tidbit from Mr. AONUMA talking about how, yes, they did hear all about that whole female protagonist hoopla. There was that, of course, huge rumor that the person depicted in that very first Breath of the Wild trailer was not male, was female, because, once again, they've depicted Link as having very feminine features, and he even made a joke in an interview, you might remember, 2 E3s ago, saying, well, who knows? But he says, I should have never made that joke, because I forget that people can really latch onto that stuff and take it to extreme places, so no, there's no playable female character in Breath of the Wild, but that after all of that controversy, he and the team talked about it. They really thought it through and felt like it wouldn't be that bad of an idea. They're just not going to do it with Breath of the Wild. Now, we do know, of course, that they are definitely working on the next Zelda game for Switch right now, probably, because Breath of the Wild is done, and if we remember anything about Zelda team, as soon as they've completed a game, they're off to the races with the next one. And they're probably going to reuse the Breath of the Wild engine because they said they were, in which case, maybe they'll go ahead and do it. Maybe it will be something like you're playing as, you get your choice between playing as a female or male Sheikah or something like that. It would be pretty interesting. We'll have to wait and see, but it is something that they definitely have considered. Mr. AONUMA kind of poo-pooed it a little bit, saying, well, we already did that. With Hyrule Warriors, you can play as a whole plethora of females. Yeah, that's not really the same thing. Hyrule Warriors is not a Zelda game, let's just be real. He also went on to say that though... Wow, there's a dog barking over there. Anyways, he went on to say that yes, they do listen to fan feedback. They do read message boards. They are aware of some of the major fan complaints and desires and wants, but that they really feel like it's not their job to give us the Zelda game we want, but more to give us the Zelda game they want to give us, which turns out to usually be the Zelda game we want. So, that they listen to the fan feedback, but they never let that dictate their decisions, which is probably the way it should be, right? We're not the game developers. We don't study game development. We don't know much about it, unless, of course, there's some of those out there of you who are and do, but just because we want something in a game doesn't mean it would make a good game, so I'm glad that Mr. AONUMA has the balls to basically say, we hear ya, we just decided no. So that's for the best, really, in my opinion. Anyways, that's it for this episode of Nintendo News. See you guys in a couple days for more news. Bye, guys.